being anti-status quo, right? Mm-hmm. Like, that's what it's about. If you believe something in your heart, go with it as hard as you can, as fast as you can. And there's a saying, you don't lose until you quit, which is the truth.
Yep.
Until that moment you quit. Now, you may die before you quit, but you never lost.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Middleton Methods podcast. As you can see, Sam is now with me. We are doing kind of a bonus episode this week. Very excited to have my good friend Kris Dehnert here to talk to us about a bit of a hot and somewhat controversial topic. I think some of our most popular podcasts have always been around, of course, the topic of money. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today, is a new kind of currency. You probably heard about it, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency as it's called. And we had Kris over after a birthday party, Peyton's birthday party, and we started talking, and he doesn't consider himself an expert. I'm sure there's far other kind of experts on the topic, but he's definitely... he's forgotten way more.
I bought into the idea. And I played with it for sure. So I know more than most, but...
Yeah. So he was a little hesitant to do this podcast, but I was like...
But I agreed. He talked me into it.
Yeah. I'm like, look, our audience has probably barely heard the term cryptocurrency or
very
Bitcoin. True. So I appreciate kind of the... we want to keep this... Topical, pretty baric, and just answer some of the basic questions, right? In very layman's term, what is it? Where do you get it? What are the risks? What app should I use? What do I trust? Things like that. Sure. So that's what we're going to be covering this week. But before we do, Kris, why don't you just introduce yourself just a little bit? One of the things I appreciate about you is that you're not just you're an entrepreneur, right? You're like us, right? We don't work a corporate job. We're trying to create our own freedom. We take that very seriously for our families and take that into our own hands. And you've been in a few different industries. You have a lot of skill sets, and why don't you kind of catch us up on some of the things you've done with online marketing, with t-shirts, with the Bat Company, with you've been in real estate as well, and just kind of catch us up so people know kind of your background. And catch us up on what you're doing right now before we jump into...
Okay. So, like you said, I mean, I've done a ton of different projects. I've always been an entrepreneur at heart, even back when I was a kid. You know, the stories we always look back on now that make so much sense than when we were little. But I've always wanted to just kind of live really far outside the box. If things sound too good to be true, as they say, they say they usually are. I say, well, tell me more, right? Because it's too good to be true. It means one of two things. One, you're going to find out really quick when you actually do your due diligence, as opposed to just write something off. Right. You may find a gem, and that's what I've been able to do on a number of different occasions. I've been successful in a lot of different things. I've totally lost my ass in a bunch of different things. Mm-hmm. I mean, it is what it is, right? But again, you keep flipping over the rocks and you find it. So I started in the gym industry, Gold's Gym, and obviously I'm far from that industry now. I mean, I've been in the gym enough, but when I did that, I was really outside the box. I was creating these really unique ways of driving memberships. I mean, we did hundreds of memberships a day. In some cases, so that was really, really sweet, and the owners got a kick out of that, as you can imagine. Uh-huh. But then I went into real estate, the real estate company I owned, and we quickly grew, again, through social media. I leveraged social media for a lot of the things that I've done. Mm-hmm. I just understand the value of having tremendous groups of people that you can, all you do is ask a group of people, what do you want, and give it to them. Literally, that's all there is to do with being an entrepreneur. So growing these communities online, I did that. Then I did real estate, and I owned an agency, did pretty well. We sold it. We've actually sold 3 of our companies. Lost the other, few, but it was all based.
The restaurant too.
Yeah, the restaurant. If we're talking tips and golden nuggets, it has to be cryptocurrency. Only invest in things that you can control in a lot of ways. And I know that's. Some will say one thing, some will say another, but I learned pretty quickly that when I get involved and I get my money involved in things that I can't directly affect, I lose hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I don't care who you are, that stings.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Just a little bit.
Just a bit. So, but yeah, we were in the restaurant. I was in the cannabis industry. most recently, we make baseball bat mugs.
These things are awesome. Cheers.
Yeah,
man.
cheers. We're drinking beers on camera. Sorry, it's gonna go down like that. It's Saturday. Yeah. So we make baseball bat mugs, and my partner found me online, of course, social media. Said, "Hey, I got a cool idea. Let me know what you think." And we're taking it to the moon. Period. We started earlier this year, and we're coming up on $500,000 already.
Nice.
From earlier this year. So.
What do you think's been one of the keys to your success in these different businesses? Like, what's the one constant with? Because you're talking about completely different.
So
industries.
Different. Every industry is so different, man. And I think what it really is just pure ass stubbornness and grit and thick skin and being anti-status quo, right? Mm-hmm. Like, that's what it's about. If you believe something in your heart, go with it as hard as you can, as fast as you can. And there's a saying, you don't lose until you quit, which is the truth.
Yep.
Until that moment you quit. Now, you may die before you quit, but you never lost, right? And that's where I've been with a lot of these things.
One of the things that's really unique about you is, like, no matter what you're doing, you're really good at finding, like, the angle, the marketing angle, you see the gaps, not just in necessarily the product or the industry or whatever, but you find the gaps in the marketing. I think you're a really good marketer in any business. Doesn't matter what you're in, whether it's a service industry or a product business or whatever. Being really good at sales and marketing is crucial. If you don't have good marketing, you don't have leads. If you don't have leads and viewers, you don't have sales. If you don't have sales, you don't have a business, right? So,
well, I think a lot of that comes from people. When you don't care about people, you're never going to make it.
Right. Yeah.
Right. I truly care about people. All the people I meet, all the people I do business with, the people who purchase, the thousands of people who have purchased our products, thousands and thousands. If you go 2 years back when I was doing the apparel, oh my God, we crushed that.
How many t-shirts did you sell?
Oh my God, dude, like hundreds of thousands.
Nice.
We sold hundreds of thousands of t-shirts through social media. Yeah. Find a group who likes deer and you sell them a shirt with a deer on it. I mean, it's as simple as that, right? But back to what we were saying, like, I really believe that if you care about people, everything else just kind of falls into place. From a marketing perspective, if you know people and you listen to them, they'll tell you exactly how they want to be sold, tell you exactly what they want to buy. Just listen, right? And I don't think people listen enough. And so for me, I truly listen, I truly care, and I just truly don't give a damn about other people's opinions on things. And if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it.
You care about the customer's opinion, maybe. That's about it.
I care about the customer's opinion, but I'm saying the naysayers, the people who... You're talking about cryptocurrency today.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to talk about backlash. You're changing the currency system. I mean...
Mind-blowing.
It's massive. It's massive what's happening. But I think in a world like today, when the hotel industry can be flipped on its head by Airbnb, when the taxi industry is flipped on its head by Uber, when Amazon flips just brick and mortar on its head with Amazon, we'd be foolish to think that something as archaic and outdated as the currency system wouldn't be flipped on its head by a better, faster, cheaper angle for money, right? Yeah. Especially when our damn money's not been attached to anything for decades. Like, it's naive.
Talk about that for just a quick second. The gold standard I'm shocked at people who still don't understand that we're not on a gold standard and what that actually means, because I think it kind of sets the tone for how something like this has so much opportunity to grow. It's
the Federal Reserve. It's not federal and it's not reserving anything.
Right. That's not owned by the government?
No, weird how that is. It's do your due diligence. I'm not going to kill the time, and I'm not going to misquote the story. Right. But I encourage you to learn. Yeah. Right. That's anybody who's not just gobbling up data at the speed of light right now is foolish. Yeah. They spend their time watching TV shows, which I watch TV shows too, right? I watch Shark Tank and I watch, Tosh Point, funny stuff just to, take a break for a second. But I encourage you to gather data, read books, read blogs, podcasts. Learn, because like you're saying, with the gold standard and just the economy as it is, our money's just been printing. We just print more. We're so in debt. We're over our head.
Fiat. It's literally fake money, the U.S. dollar,
and
right?
and we require a third party to manage it for us. I mean, it's if you really look at it and then compare it to any other place in your life, if you had that same infrastructure, I mean, wow.
So let's get into one of the first questions I have, which is related to this story about the gold standard. So I think it was Nixon, right, who in the 70s took us off the gold standard. There's a limited amount of gold, right? So they could only print as much money as there was gold to back it up.
Right.
And kind of like in the middle of the night, seemed like, I mean, it's not like everyone voted for it, or just all of a sudden the government was like, you know what, we're just going to print more money than we have inventory of gold. Which my first question is, as it pertains to Bitcoin, or if you want to go into cryptocurrency, let's just start with the original Bitcoin, right? Because for those of you who are new to this, there's actually more than one type of Bitcoin, aka cryptocurrency. How much is there in the market? Can they just create as much Bitcoin as possible?
21 million units is the limit. And this was predetermined by the gentleman who created it, or the blockchain. And again, that part of it, I'm not 100%, so I'll just be clear on that.
Yeah.
But I do know that Satoshi Nakamoto is the creator of the of Bitcoin, right? And the way it all got set up, from what I understand, well, I know for a fact there's 21 million units to be released over now in a certain period of time.
Yep.
So it's finite, right? There's
Supply
only
and
so
demand.
many.
Yep.
And just like with gold, I mean, why is gold valuable?
Because it's scarce.
And people deem it valuable.
Yep.
Right? So if the world's ending and I got 10 million bat mugs and everyone's trying to have a drink, guess what? Guess what I have that's valuable now, right? It's what we perceive as valuable, and you know, that with the multiplier of the, you know, scarcity of it. There you go, right? Like it's literally that simple. And with that in mind, that's why so many people either buy, hold, trade Bitcoin or altcoins, the alternative coins, which is what I do a lot of with the altcoins, because they have a tendency, when Bitcoin goes up one click, they'll fluctuate 8. So when I see this going up, you buy the alt, you cash it out right here, and it continues to increase your amount of Bitcoin. I've almost doubled the amount of Bitcoin I own by just trading the altcoins on a weekly basis.
What's a good, is there any other industry or something else we can do to like help people understand, like, that there is Bitcoin, but then there's all these other types of currencies that use the same technology, the blockchain technology, right? So what could you compare it to? Like, because most listeners are probably thinking Bitcoin is Bitcoin and that's it, but that's not the truth. And there's more types of currencies coming up. So is there any other...
Well, the currencies, so let me kind of just, you know, tail off of that for just a second. So the currencies, what they do is it's a representation, it's a unit, it's a metric representing a technology company. So each of these, whether it's Bitcoin or the one I was just looking at, the OMG, I have about 10 right now. Each one of those represent a different company. So what I tend to do, and again, everyone does it completely different. There's some really smart guys online, and I'll give them a plug too in a little bit, because they're just really boss and they've helped me make some money. But it represents a company, right? So I look at the potential problem, because I understand business in a little way different way than a lot of just average Joe just throwing a few dollars or something. I look at the company and what their base is. There's a company out there that's based in servers, right? Well, when the blockchain and everything, I mean, this is a lot of data all the time. Well, who's gonna, you know, there's eventually going to be a bottleneck that they'll fix, but with data and server and storage space. So betting on a company that's based in servers and has them all the network all over the world, right? So that's how I pick a lot of the things I do.
Almost like picking stocks, right? You're going to buy a company
it's really,
based on
right. It's very
the health
similar
of
to that.
company.
Correct. Or you know, in this industry, it's actually it's fickle because it's so new. It's Wild West. It really is. So I would at first advise, don't ever invest any money that you can't afford to lose, which is just kind of like the standard when you're doing something. Now, it is in its infancy, so you're much more likely to put some money in, forget about it, and, you know, wake up, you know, next year and it's 10x.
Well, how much was Bitcoin worth 7 years ago?
Oh God, dude, was it like a penny?
And how much is it worth today?
4,400 right now.
That's crazy.
I mean, it's really crazy.
And
I mean, you can even go
over. It's been worth thousands for a little while now, right?
Yeah, it has. I'll just take a look at it really quick. I mean, you brought it up, so let's look. Right, it's $4,351 right now, and 2 months ago even it's not been. Let's look at it. Let's look at it over the months. Yeah, I mean, in 2017, you could have got it sub $1,000.
Okay, so it's blowing up right now. And what are
I
they?
mean, what would you 4x within the last?
You were
9
sharing
months.
something with me. Is you heard the chatter is that it could be worth over 10,000 by the end of the year. Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
There's chatter out there.
Yeah.
There's always chatter.
Right. I know, but
there's a lot of chatter last week that it was going to drop back down to around 3,000, even $2,500. Instead, it decided to show additional support. I mean, there's almost $150 billion in the market, half of which is Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. I mean, hello, people are supporting it, whether you like it or not.
Right.
There's many stores, and again, if you want a fun little task, go look it up. What stores, what websites take Bitcoin?
A lot more than you think.
A lot more than you think.
Yeah. Is Amazon taking it yet?
I don't know. I think I would think so.
Once they do, that'll just
game
be
time, right? But again, like if you listen to the, speaking of chatter, because chatter is actually really important. Again, another thing I found, Twitter is very crucial to this industry.
Everything moves so quick.
Yeah. So what it is the CEOs and the CMOs of these companies, they'll hint at little things. They're like, oh, really excited to be at XYZ conference, right?
Yep.
Per se. And well, next thing you know, that conference, now that means people put 2 and 2 together and they're like, all right, this company and this company are in the middle of doing some kind of joint venture or something like that. Well, that stock will jump 10, 15, 20% in an hour.
What is a good Twitter to follow? Do you have a couple?
I would
hashtags or ats or.
I mean, you just go in and type in crypto and look around, or you find the top. Like you can go to coinmarketcap.com. Mm-hmm. Look at the top 20, the big dogs, the top 20 in volume. Whatever they are. Neo, Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum, Litecoin, Ripple, whatever. Right. Mm-hmm. And look up who their CEO is. I mean, these have to be social entities. I mean, they're talking about business out online, and I've done it a few times. I've caught the wave. I stay so busy with my other company that's hard sometimes, but I've caught a couple tweets as they come out, and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Throw $1,000 at it, turns to 1,500 in the same day.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like how cool is that, right?
So why did you get into the world of crypto? Was it just for the business opportunity, I guess the opportunity, investment, upside?
Mainly, yeah. Okay. I'm very outside the box. I feel like we're looking at the Matrix half the time, right? So I'm really outside the box. So when these odd things, now in all fairness, it was brought to me 3 years ago, and I'm a little salty about it. But I wasn't paying closer attention. And as they say, the best time to buy Bitcoin was 4 years ago. The second best time is today. Right. You get the idea, right? It's like It's still in its infancy in comparison to where it is. So, a little FOMO right now might do you good as opposed to whining that you missed out on this giant epic swing. Now, yes, you did, but you're not done yet, right? So I got in because I had a little expendable cash I wanted to throw at something and just kind of forget about it. And I know that 10 years from now, after all this completely plays out and it's widely accepted, my daughter will have a bankroll to do anything.
We'll literally
she
have
wants.
A bank in her pocket, all right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, a device smaller than your phone, the size of a USB port, could hold tens of millions of dollars if you wanted it to. Walk right across the border if you want to.
Where does that confidence come from that what helps you feel confident that 10 years from now this isn't going anywhere?
Well, you never know that, right?
But you have a level of confidence that I
have a level of confidence no matter what. We know this, right? I'm going to believe. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to believe in it, right? I think the fact, like I said, on CoinMarketCap, there's $150 billion in and out of the market.
Follow the money.
I mean,
it's not like it was 7-10 years
ago.
Dude,
a Bitcoin is worth more than, what is it, an ounce of gold?
Yeah.
I mean, and it's digital. And it's where we're going. Like, look at everything we're doing.
Yeah.
We're a global economy, right? Overall, it doesn't. I do business in multiple countries. Mm-hmm. Well, even if it's little, I'll hire this guy, this, whatever. If you use PayPal, they're taxing you like crazy, 3, 4, 5%. It's insane. If you use a bank, God forbid, use a bank. You're in Frankfurt. I'm in, Rome. Sam's in U.S. and we got to transfer some money around. Well, dude, get ready. It's gonna take days. It's gonna take fees.
So just the logic makes sense. Fees, time. What about privacy? Like
privacy.
The fact that
well, and they talk a lot about it with it's decentralized, right? Mm-hmm. So it's a community that verifies the transactions for the community within the community, mm-hmm. and it takes out these. The big banks and the juggernauts that, I mean, look, every other week somebody's getting hacked, so they're not safe and secure.
The banks.
Right, with the cryptography that goes into this, good luck hacking 1,000 computers at one time that have a 30-digit code on it. And even if you do, there's double verification. I mean, it's really impressive. And I'm not very technical, mm-hmm. so I do very little due diligence, mm-hmm. which is different than a lot, but that's the truth. I do little due diligence and I go with my gut. That's me, right? But I encourage you to go do your due diligence, and I think you're going to be blown away, especially the technical people like that really dig in and want to think everything to death.
Yeah, if you're a fact finder, a researcher, tech person, this is right up your alley.
And go give us some feedback, right? Like, because ultimately you're gonna be blown away. Mm-hmm. There's a lot. The big, you said follow the money, right? Like J.P. Morgan the other day, like, oh, Bitcoin's this, that, and the other thing. It dove again. Bad news, drives these things down. Well, the next day, guess who the biggest buyer of Bitcoin was?
J.P. Morgan.
Like,
I'm tired of this game.
And China has done it like 3 times. Again, I've only been playing this thing for 90 days, right?
So to me, it seems like I know there's a lot of probably. What do you call the people that kind of want to get away from government? I forget what you call them, but it seems like it's putting the power back in the people's hands instead of, because the whole country's
libertarian
run.
There
you go. Yeah. The whole country's run by obviously our currency and money. Yeah. And the banks have a huge influence on things, and they take a big chunk out of everything. And the government knows. All the money that we have and taxes on everything. And so being able to kind of have a bank and not rely on a corporation, right? That's not even the government. I'm not even trusting. Bank of America isn't a part of the government. I'm not trusting the government with my money. I'm trusting this corporation. Now you're telling me I basically get to cut out the middleman.
Well, they never have all the money that's lent out. I mean, behind the scenes, overnight, they're trading it, they're leveraging, they're making more with it. They're charging you $15 service fee for your account.
Yeah.
For what? Right? They fee you to death. They leverage your money. If everyone went to the bank and tried to take their money out, there's not enough.
You can't. Yeah.
You can't. What was it? Greece? Was it over in Greece or something? You could only take out like $100 a day. You were maxed.
Yeah.
What if you had $10 million in the bank? You can only take out $100 a day because, and look around. I was watching something the other day and it was crazy. Like a bundle of bananas was like $1 trillion in some crazy weird currency.
Yeah.
Well, look what happens when you trust people.
In Venezuela, their currency is
pick
ridiculous.
A country.
Yeah.
Pick one.
Yeah.
They're a wreck.
Yeah.
And that's what happens when you let its entity do that. So it's not back to barter. We're not in the barter system. But if I have something of value and you have something of value, let's swap it out, right? In Bitcoin, let's say it's $4,000 for easy numbers, and you want to buy something that's $1,000. This thing can be broken down into like 1 million units, or something like that. Like 1 million units, maybe it's 10 million units. But
so with the dollar, the smallest is a penny, right?
Right.
But
with a Bitcoin,
it's like 0.0000006.
It's called a
Bitcoins.
Satoshi. Named after the guy who created it. But like you can go to Subway, buy stuff with Bitcoin. Go to Starbucks, buy coffee with Bitcoin. Now, mind you, it is, like you said, 0.0000111
fraction of right.
of a Bitcoin for your coffee, whatever that comes out to be. But again, it's functional. It's becoming more widely accepted. The more the economy jumps on board with this, the better. Because that's also, yes, why I decided to do it. I believe in what it is. It's cheaper, faster, more fair, less regulated, which again, that's a plus and a minus. So one of the major scars on the face of Bitcoin came from people leveraging it to do bad things.
Right.
Silk Road,
yeah.
So, which is a website this guy was buying and selling drugs,
right,
like on a major scale, and Bitcoin was tied into it at the beginning. So, which I learned a little bit about, and I'll tell you a real cool thing. I watched it was on Netflix.
Yeah.
Banking on Bitcoin.
That was a good.
Did you watch it?
Yeah.
It was cool, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe you told me about it.
There's like 3 or 4 on Netflix. I just been watched them all.
Yeah, man, it was neat. Like reading it, you're like, damn.
I thought
the Winklevoss brothers were in there. I didn't know that. The guys that co-founded Facebook. I guess that's a whole other story. They got chopped out of Facebook, but yeah, they're involved in this too, which I think could be equally as big.
Yeah.
When it's all said and done.
Yeah, when I first heard about Bitcoin, I feel like it was like someone talking about the dinar, right? I don't know if you ever got hit up by friends or family like, buy this dinar for like 10 grand, but as soon as Iraq comes back, it's going to be worth like 10 million or whatever, right? I feel like it was that kind of like blah. But finally, I mean, you start to see documentaries on Netflix, right? You start to hear about it in the news. People are talking about it on daytime talk shows. And clearly,
you can use it in stores,
right?
Like you can buy stuff with it today,
right? If you watch, they just put I'll show a picture of it. Like I live in an area of Tampa that's like on the outskirts of Tampa, and it's a little bit like Podunk. There's this like Podunk gas station across the street from my house, and they just installed a Bitcoin ATM. You know what I mean? They have them up and down the coast of Florida, so it's definitely here. It's no longer the like.
Stop being foolish. You know, I mean, it's like, damn, how much proof do you need?
Right.
150 billion. It's being accepted. The ATMs are getting put in. It's on TV. It's in the news. I was reading something today about Japan looking to jump in. China just announced a few things. Russia. I mean, a lot of the world's major powers are talking about this.
Yeah.
And if they're talking about this now publicly, how long have they been talking about this privately?
Right.
I mean, hell, who knows? Some of the 3-letter agencies are probably loaded up with this stuff. Right? Until they can find a way to monetize it, leverage it. But again, that's just a whole other game, a whole other podcast. But it's happening, right? Like it's happening.
Mm-hmm. So that's why I wanted to bring it to our listeners, because it's not, I think 5 years ago we would have been having a very different kind of
oh my God, yes.
What do you call it? Speculative conversation, but now it's very much the idea behind it all makes sense, and now we're starting to see the validation that it's here to stay. So what are a couple of resources that you would recommend our listeners go to do some due diligence, right? Obviously, do what you're comfortable with. Don't go, drain the 401k and dump all your money into Bitcoin. Right. That's not all what we're saying. In fact, we're not saying that you should or do anything. We're not.
Yeah, there's no financial advice going on
CPAs, here. Nothing like that, right? Quick disclaimer. But yeah, what would you recommend? For me, the Netflix documentaries were the first things that was like...
It helps you wrap your head around it. Well, I mean...
Give you a little history.
Listen, it's not... The history of it's good, but it's also can be... the history of a lot of things that are good in this world started off a little crazy, right? So don't jade yourself because of that. I think YouTube is a tremendous resource.
So who are a couple of people?
Just TEDx. Dude, there's TEDx talks for days on this stuff.
Okay.
Blockchain technology.
Yeah, what are the keywords?
Blockchain.
You say crypto, blockchain.
Blockchain technology, cryptocurrency. Some of the big 3, as they call them, Bitcoin, Ethereum.
Ethereum with an E? Or?
Yeah, with an E. ETHERUM or something like that. Litecoin. Ripple, XRP. Ripple is another one. That one is they call it the banker's coin, which read up on it. It's kind of interesting. This is one, it's kind of supported by some of the big banks. I understand. So
Bitcoin.com, the guy Robert something who's younger than us, gave the seed capital to start Ripple.
Really?
Yeah, I just heard that on a podcast on the way up here.
Okay. Well, I think I own, disclaimer, I own all of those ones I just mentioned.
Okay. All these resources will be in the show notes, whether you're watching this on YouTube or on the podcast or on MiddletonMethods.com.
Brandon Kelly, crypto trader.
Cool. All right.
He's cool. He's got a way of reading charts that's really, really awesome. He said if you're a financial institution, this, that, and the other, basically go to hell. If you're somebody who's trying to come up and make money and change your life, use my stuff for free.
Nice.
So almost freedom fighter-ish.
Yeah, right? That's what it feels like, man. That's what's got me most excited.
Yeah, and he calls himself the boss. He's not too far off, dude. He's not too far off. Yeah. And I'm sure there's got plenty of guys out there that know more, but I can tell you right now, he's talented. He knows his stuff. He gives good advice. Wide open with his community. Made me money. So, he's made me at least 30 to 35% on my money.
Nice.
In the last 45 days.
So if I want to buy Bitcoin, where do I go to buy it? Where's the best place to buy it?
I always buy it through Coinbase. Okay. Is the beginners stuff, Coinbase. There's others, and again, look it up, but I think Coinbase is the biggest, the most reputable. They're owned by, I think, GDAX.com. So actually, once you have a Coinbase account, there's a way of buying it through GDAX that avoids the fees, which is kind of cool. Because, you buy $1,000 worth of stuff, you're going to hit with a $3 fee, right? Which is
way better than the bank.
Sure. But still, it's extra money. Just go through GDAX. There's some really fun groups online. Now, if you're a newbie, don't go into a group through a bunch of guys doing trades and stuff like that and asking like a bunch of newbie questions because you're going to get blasted.
Yeah.
Don't be lazy. Do your due diligence. Learn about something so you're actually having an intelligent conversation. The BK, the stuff he does on his YouTube channel is really great. Those are good resources. Crypto Coin Profits. There's a lot of information on there.
Is that cryptocoinprofits.com?
Yeah, I think so. But there's a lot of information in there. Some of the coins are a coin trading platform. Some of the coins are a referral coin. It's Wild West, right?
Yeah.
Find what fits you. There's even one I think in there that you buy the coins, and then you set them in that company's online wallet, and you're basically loaning them back to the company for 60.
Kind of like the bank that works.
There you go. Except you get really paid. You probably average a half a point to a point a day on your money.
So is that like a 0.5%?
Yeah,
percent?
It's not bad.
A day?
Yeah. So,
as opposed to the bank where I put $1,000 in the bank and they loan out $900 of it, and they pay me
zero of it.
A fraction of a.
Only if it's in a savings account.
Oh, that's right. In the checking account.
No, nothing. So this is it's a really cool one. You put say you had $5,000. Say you had $5,000 liquid that you really want to turn into something. Plug the $5,000 into this thing. Pull it back out in 6 months, whatever. But you made daily. You had daily dividends, I guess it would be, for the next 6 months.
So is that what you would recommend to someone who's like, they've
a set it and forget it thing?
Yeah, they like
probably.
They've got $100,000 in their 401k. They're like, you know what? I don't want to miss the boat on this, but I just don't have time to, be on YouTube all the time or really getting into it. But I want to at least know I've got something now, and I'll check back in with it in 6 months or a year.
If you took and you balanced it over the top 10, the top 5, it's ballsy to say, but I don't think you can lose, right? Because it's so young.
So you're saying buy a few of the top,
that's what I have.
And then just don't watch them every day,
right? It's addicting as hell. I'm going to admit because I'm just that guy, and I just love stats and data and all this whatever. But I could have just said them, and sometimes I get myself in trouble because I think I see something that's not really there, make a trade, lose 10%, and the one I just took it out of that I should have waited it out like I was supposed to.
Yeah. So what
are you going to do?
what do you have to say about that volatility, right? Like the fact that this is something that can go up and down like it does. It's just super volatile. It's not so volatile that it's going down to zero or anything crazy like that, but it does fluctuate a ton.
I can tell you what I do. I set a predetermined number on returns lately. At first, I didn't do that because I thought I was, unstoppable, as I usually do when I go into something, and it just doesn't always work. I put 10%. So even if I think it's going to rocket past it, I put it at 10%.
Okay.
And I use Bittrex, Bittrex. It's kind of like the exchange, right? Where you're buying and trading and shifting and
it's
moving.
It's like watching an E-Trade account or something.
Right.
Okay.
So what I do is I can preset.
Marketwatch.com.
But you say the same functionality, right?
Yeah.
Like you set a predetermined buy price and a predetermined sales price, right? So in a lot of these, you're going to have breakouts, which are skyrocket, and then you're going to have corrections, which are the big drops, and then you'll have consolidations where it's kind of, the ping pong is what I call it. I love it when it's ping pong in between like a $3 window. Let's say it's going from 25 to 30, just back and forth. As soon as I recognize that trend happening, I'll put all my buy at 25 and all my sell at 30. So what happens?
Just keep buying, sell, buying, sell.
Right, and I'll do it with $1,000. Right. So what is that? Buy 40 of them, 40 units at 25, and then it sells it at 100. You know what I'm saying? Whatever.
Okay.
You make $5 40 times. So that's
too much.
200
bucks.
bucks. 200 bucks.
Are gonna
$200.
Fall asleep.
So every time it goes bing, 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 you make $200.
Yeah.
Buy it, sell it 200. Down, buy it again, sell it. But it's also multiplying because then all the extra money you made now goes into the next buy, and then the next buy, and then the next buy. Now, one of the times it's not going to go back down to where you buy more. You don't look at it like, oh, I lost the opportunity to get it before it took off. Wait until it starts correcting or consolidating again. So there's a lot of different methods behind it. If you want to be a day trader, you're going to probably kill it. As long as you're looking at the right things and listening to the right people and following the right news, you'll probably kill it.
Which I don't necessarily recommend because that takes a lot of time, right?
Yeah.
Unless you're just
unless you have
super
time.
Excited about it and like this is a strength of yours, go for it. But I could never be a day trader in stocks. I know I could definitely never be a day trader with something like this.
With the right moves, you could turn 5K into 50 in 1 month.
That's nuts.
With the right moves, watching the right accounts. Obviously you got to make the right picks, right? But it's definitely doable.
How would this compare to like the stock market?
Very similar, right?
There's just way more companies than there are cryptocurrencies, right?
Well, I would think so.
The
truth is, I've never really done anything in the stock market.
Yeah, and does the stock market have? That's regulated by God. There's so much.
Now, one of the main differences is the stock market is bell to bell, right?
Oh, right.
This is
24/7.
24/7 around the clock.
Yeah.
So what you'll see is, depending on if you're a night owl or not, around that 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, when the other side of the world's waking up, you can start to see a trend as it's happening, buy in like crazy, and then when America wakes up, they have FOMO like nobody else on the planet.
FOMO?
Fear of missing out.
Oh, okay.
Right? And they're like, shit, let's get on there, throw all their money in. Well, what did that just fuel on the fire?
Yeah.
Ride that joker up and then just parachute off, man. I've done that a few times. I just had insomnia. I couldn't go to sleep because I was doing something with the mugs. But I caught a couple trades right before they popped. I rode one like 40%. 40% in one morning on a thing. I wish I would have invested more. But again, I'm trying not to be foolish about it, right? So,
awesome. What do you think this? What do you think this means for? Like, do you think this helps us to have more freedom, or less? And why?
And I think it always helps you to have more freedom. Now, the problem with freedom is some people don't know how to handle it. Take somebody who's used to working a 9 to 5 and you let them work from home. Well, next thing you know, they're extremely overweight. They're drinking daily.
Right.
But you know what I mean? Like
taking naps in the middle of the day.
Yeah, naps in the middle of the day. Don't even get out of their PJs for like 3 days. No showers for 2.
That sounds like a couple of entrepreneurs I know too.
Yeah. I fell into that hole for like a day, I think, maybe. But, in all honesty, I think freedom is very important. I think it's checks and balances, really. We can't keep giving power to people who, misuse it and hold people down with it. And I think we're in an incredible age, like none other in American or the history of the world.
True.
With the ability to share data and information. Look at all the scandals. 20 years ago, the scandals, nothing would have come of it, right? Whether it's Hillary, whether it's Trump, whether it's any of them, right? Like Sandusky, none of it. But people can share anything at any time, which is dangerous, right? So if there's checks and balances on something like Facebook, how amazing would that be, right? But you know what I mean? Like, I think freedom is super important, and then I think that we're in the golden age of sharing information. So if we're all committed to sharing the right information, like a lot of the people that are involved in this and other similar things, I think it's going to be better for people as a whole. I really do.
I'm excited for my kids with this. You know what I mean? Like this.
Dude, our kids.
By the time our kids are, this is going the way that everyone. To me, the writing's on the wall, right? There's been so many problems and so much scandal and way too much control with
name an industry that hasn't had the writing on the wall. What about education? Guess what's coming next? It's a slippery slope, man. But is it a correction that's been necessary in our world, right? Education's teaching people how to be obsolete from the first day. By the time you're in your third year, what you learned in your first year is not even relevant.
Right.
Okay, online courses, online college. I mean, you want to talk? Okay, that's an industry no one really talks about, but it's the same thing. Education in college and all this other. Take a look at those stats, right? Everyone's going studying abroad. I'm learning online. I'm learning technical colleges. I'm learning trades and all this other. It's just 20 years ago. It's, grow up, get a good job, go to school, and get a career, work for 50 years, retire, and live on this.
Doesn't work anymore.
No, it doesn't. None of it works anymore. So to keep using these outdated, obsolete mentality is silly, and including money.
So one last question: what are a couple of apps that someone who's interested in this should have on their phone? Like, I know when I bought my Bitcoin from that ATM, like I needed to have an app for it. I think I've got a few of them: Bitcoin.com app and Bread and Blockchain and you mentioned some. So which ones should I have on my phone, or which one and which
Well, all I can say is I can tell you what I do.
Yep.
And I have Blockfolio.
Okay.
Super cool app. And then I have Google Authenticator because you got to keep all your stuff protected, right? So I have Blockfolio to just track my portfolio. It's really easy to use too, and it's real time, which is nice. And then the Google Authenticator, I don't really use anything other than that. I'm not an apps guy, right? I'm a bare basics kind of guy, and I need this to track it.
So how do you store your Bitcoin, and how do you spend your Bitcoin?
I personally don't spend it.
Okay.
Right, because I'm only doing it currently because I believe in where it's going, and I want to get in before. Like the .com boom, right? I just want to get in and buy some domains because when it blows up, it's going to be worth a little something. So I have not spent it yet, but a Trezor, it's called a Nano. I think it's a Nano and a Trezor. They're digital wallets that you can just store it on. If you store it on the exchanges, it's not as safe.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Yeah, but again, like Johnny up the street with $1,000. Dude, you're not even on anybody's radar.
Right.
Until you crack 50K, are you even on anybody's radar?
What about people? What if people say this is unsafe? Since you bring that up, like this is unsafe. I've heard of people getting hacked. Versus like, if my money stays in the bank, $250,000 FDIC insurance, like my money's safe even if someone robs the bank. What would you say to that?
I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Teach his own. Teach his own, right?
What if you have more than $250,000? Well, then the bank's not insuring you.
Right. To each his own. I mean, I've never had a problem. I don't know anybody who's ever had a problem.
And what do you do to keep your money safe?
I use the Google Authenticator app. There's 2-part authorizations. Any of the accounts like Bittrex, Coinbase, any of these, you have to double and sometimes triple authorization to log into your account. And then if you're just stacking it to hold it, I'll hold it on my Nano. Don't leave tens of thousands of dollars on the exchange. I'll pull it off and keep it on the Nano. It's like, these are going to rock. These are the rock solid coins. Litecoin, for example, is one that's just steady Eddie, man.
Yeah.
When I got in, it was $28. Now it's $55. It was up to $95 last month. And of course I got in. Oh, it's going to the moon. I didn't sell it. Wrong. Dropped back down to where it should be in the correction, around 55 to 60. But again, it's steady Eddie, man. Just take 1,000 of those, stuff it in this device, and just.
How long have you been buying?
90 days.
You've only been buying for 90 days?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You've just been studying it a little longer?
Yeah, I'll tell you. Well,
and how and you're up still, right? Overall, what you put into it, you're up.
Yeah, let's look. So 90 days. That top number right there.
290%?
Yeah.
That's unheard of. Yeah. That's crazy.
290% in 90 days.
Wow.
Cool,
Yeah.
I made a couple good picks, and I listened to some smart people, and I'm not just a sheep, buying into all the negative hype. God knows there's enough of that going on.
Yep.
We don't think for ourselves anymore. If you really stop and look at what this is, I mean, the blockchain, the gist of blockchain, because we didn't really touch on that either, it's the community, Bitcoin mining and things like that. So the community, I want to make a transaction to you. The block lets my information come in, closes, locks. Then the community verifies that unit it belonged to me, and they verify it through a multitude of different people, which that's why the thing can't be hacked, right? Mm-hmm. And it's through the cryptography. It's like a 30-digit number or something crazy, alphanumeric number.
Yeah.
So you're not getting it. And then once it's been verified, block opens up, you get it, and then everybody verifies that this transaction happened. So it's a ledger of sorts. A bank has a ledger. You don't have any money. You put a piece of paper into a thing, and the thing puts a number on a computer screen.
Yeah.
I mean, what the hell?
Yeah.
Like, let's not pretend that this is, reasonable. It's crazy, is what it is.
It's just what we've all.
It's a digital. It's what you know.
Yeah.
And it's a digital ledger, and this is a digital ledger, except it's monitored and managed by the community, which is an entirely another level of security. And privacy.
Yeah.
Which is really big about it too, but
one last thing. I know.
Yeah.
I could ask a million questions about this, but we were also talking the other day about how, what is this going to do for, entrepreneurs, the people like us who take full responsibility. We don't leave the government in charge for paying us Social Security and taking care of us when we're old, right? We don't really leave it up to anybody else but ourselves to take care of us and our family, right? That's why we get out every day and we go create stuff. We don't just work a job and trust a corporation or trust the government to take care of us, right? So I think people like us, we're also thinking, all right, what if, shit hits the fan with Korea, or what if, America has issues, or not. I don't think anyone ever really want to leave America, but I'd like to know that I have the option, and I don't have, to leave the country with cash, right? To leave,
or what if the dollar's not worth anything anymore? Now, that's far-fetched.
Right. But going through customs, you're spread open. You have to claim what you're bringing in, what you're taking out. It seems super invasive to me, and the idea that I could have
a 30-digit number written on a piece of paper,
right, and I can go anywhere in the world and use that currency to buy and sell goods and get what I need for my family is ultimate freedom. Otherwise, outside of what happens if the bank makes a stupid decision in the housing market crisis, and banks go out of business all the time. That seems like giving way too much control over. And then if I do leave the country, I've got to pay exchange rates to go into another currency, right? So everyone's just taking a little piece of my hard-earned dollars. Whereas with this, I mean, there's a fee, but it's like
there's fees and transactions. Oh, fractions, man.
Yeah,
fractions. I probably trade, I don't know, man, like $15,000, $20,000 a day when I'm when I'm trading.
Do they take like pennies or or do they take? I
think the largest fee I've ever seen was like $8.
That's crazy.
You know, and it was on a, I don't know, like $8,000 transaction.
Wow.
Okay. But it was because I was profiting X. So if you're profiting, you're like, whatever.
Yeah.
But I think when you're spending it, again, I don't know this part yet, but when you're spending it, I'm pretty sure that some of them are like fractions, dude. It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I want to thank you for answering a lot of these questions and just giving me kind of the 30,000 foot view, giving our listeners a 30,000 foot view. I am most excited about the technology and that this is becoming more mainstream because, I mean, I'm not going to run out and, you know, like I said, take all of our retirement and put it into this, but I like your strategy of just taking a portion of your extra cash that you may have in 401ks or real estate or other investments and saying, hey, this is something I'm going to test 10% on, 20% on, and see if I can, you know, grow it for now. But even outside of that, just knowing like this isn't going to go away. This is creating something that, like I said, when our kids, you know, when our kids are grown up, it's going to be a different world because of technologies like this. Whether it's Bitcoin or maybe Bitcoin goes away and there's a different currency, but I don't see this going away. Everything about the technology makes sense. It puts the power back in the people's hands. It cuts out the huge corporations. And I know it may seem like libertarian, it may seem like cutting edge, but it also did, you know, 10 years ago, and now, you know, what used to be worth fractions, like pennies, is now worth, you know, $4,000.
The early adapters are doing well.
Right. So it's at least a topic for discussion. I encourage you to do your due diligence. Check out some of the websites that Kris mentioned, some of the YouTube channels. And for me, I think one of the biggest things too is this is evidence. Like, this is evidence that the world is changing in a major way. This is evidence that the people, the people are not comfortable with the status quo of trust the government to do everything, trust your employer to do everything, and just sit back and be like passive. Like, the world is changing and making big moves, and this is by far one of the biggest, I think, innovations of what we'll see in our lifetime, I think.
I'm sure. I mean, look at Facebook.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I'll reiterate it, but don't be foolish, right? Facebook changed the way people communicate. Cell phones. Hello, dude, how long has that been? It ain't been that long.
Yeah.
Cell phones. Now you can talk while you move around. Now you can talk into your watch while you move around.
Yeah, that's crazy.
We're the freaking Jetsons, bro.
Yeah.
You
feel
know?
like Dick Tracy over here.
Right? I mean, that's what it is. And and the technologies like Ubers and Lyft and Airbnb and the list goes on and on.
Yeah.
Don't think something that's as outdated and clunky and unfair and sloppy
unfair.
as money is not going to change.
Yeah.
Hell, it already has. You know?
Good point. Well, again, thank you guys, and thank you for listening to this kind of bonus segment. Looking forward to bringing you more interviews like this.
I'll give you some links too. If you got notes in this. Plug them in there if it makes sense.
Awesome.
And maybe we can do a follow up. That's what would be cool. Maybe do like a follow up or something in like a month and feature some of the people that took action on it and actually did it, and then give your experience too, because that's what it's really about. I think as people continue to have more and more good experiences with it, making money with it, I mean, 290% doesn't suck, right? So as you're making money, as you're experiencing it, people are like, oh my God, I just bought a coffee with a Bitcoin, like all of it. That's the difference, right? Because when it becomes more and more mainstream, it's when all the sheep will finally accept it.
Right, and then it becomes more trusted, and then it's here to stay.
So
cool, man. All right. Well, that's been another episode, and we will talk to you next week. Take care.